Oh boy, American foreign policy sure is looking a little bit different now than it did before.
Sanction me. Sanction me with your army. Oh, wait a minute. You don't have an army. I guess that means you need to
Shush! As a lot of people aren't shushing right now, as we are on the precipice of a huge, major geopolitical Middle Eastern conflict, and Donald Trump is talking about all the possibilities of what's next here in a very honest way, which is kind of surprising here, as the Iranians are literally burning effigies of Baal. Yep, we'll get into that, as well as all the talking points and propaganda coming from Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro right now that are on a full-on assault against Tucker Carlson, as the Tucker Carlson interview with the Israeli ambassador just came out, as the Israeli ambassador is now talking about more money for Israel, reparations for them because of Gaza? Huh? I don't understand what's going on here, as these clips are very bombastic here, as then Tucker Carlson explained what happened to him at the airport, which I think is important to talk about from an honest perspective and point of view, since a lot of people are using this as a way to, of course, attack him. What's really going on right now in the world? We're going to talk about that, as well as all of the major foreign policy developments and internet e-girl right-wing drama that's unfolding as well. And if you appreciate these type of conversations, subscribe. We're doing this show on a brand new channel, and this brand new channel is doing very good. So we can't thank you enough for participating in this independent media broadcast new experiment that is working out swimmingly for us. As right now, it looks like, according to Axios, Congress is set to give President Donald Trump the green light to launch another war in the Middle East, as all the other ones really didn't work out. Really just created a lot of problems for us. As the President of the United States says, yep, we're talking about doing a limited strike. So, we could convince Iran to do the deal.
You can leave now.
Mr. President, are you considering settling? Press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
I can say I am considering that.
Quote, I am considering it, as according to Reuters, the U.S. is reaching its advanced stage with regards to Iran. A lot of people believe the strikes will happen today. Is that actually what's going to be happening? We're going to be paying close attention to this. We hope all of those people predicting this are wrong, as there's a lot of options on the table, including targeting individuals, pursuing regime change in Tehran, which of course would create a lot of sectarian violence, a huge vacuum of power, and multiple ethnic tribes just kind of going at it for land, territory, and power in the region, as this buildup of naval assets, aircraft, material buildup, cargo planes just going in the Middle East right now is the biggest since 2003's, quote, Operation Iraqi Freedom. And we saw how that one worked out. It didn't work out too well. As a lot of people are saying, this isn't going to be a limited strike. They're not preparing for a limited strike. They're preparing for a full, all-out blown war, which hopefully we pray does not happen. Germany, a couple hours ago, just called on all of its citizens to leave Iran immediately. Poland did this yesterday, as we're getting reports that Iran is covertly repositioning strike drones after doing military drills and exercises with, Russia and China, as a lot of experts are talking about how there are strategic defensive positions, fortifications being set up right now, as a lot of people believe that it is just a matter of time, not if these strikes will happen. Lots of people believe that the Iranian regime will fall by September. Some people are saying any day now. We don't know what's going to be happening, as we're also getting reports that a lot of the Iranian political leadership is already in China, looking to, of course, escape the next potential Israeli surprise attack, Mossad surprise targeted assassinations, and the full might of the U.S. military. Other people, like former CIA whistleblower Kiriakou, are coming out and saying the reason why Trump is going to and has bombed Iran, and I'm saying this from my own interpretation of what he said, is because Israel is threatening to use nukes on Iran. And if that would happen, that would create a bigger war. Trump is now considering limited strikes to avoid this bigger type of nuclear war. But if that's happening, that means that there's a level of extortion happening here that isn't good, that isn't reassuring, and isn't good, not just for the people of the Middle East, but the people of Israel as well. There's a lot of people in Israel that don't like this war, don't want escalations. And it's pretty clear here, Iran is with China, is with Russia, and this is setting up on the verge of something big. Alex Berenson came out and said, we are on the verge of going to war with Iran, an unconstitutional, deeply risky decision that should be debated in Congress and out. Instead, both the left and the right are entirely focused on a non-existent, and this is what he's saying here. He's like, oh, there's the Epstein stuff, it's not real. Like, we see the documents, bro. I would say we're all focused now on aliens, which is a little bit of a distraction here. As of course, we're getting crazy footage from Iran of the people there literally burning effigies of Baal. As of course, you see the images here as symbolically the Iranian people are throwing rocks. They put the Star of David, they put 666 and the Israeli flag on Baal, and they have made very serious threats against Israeli political leadership, even creating their own targeted hit list of Israeli politicians and military members. Now, where is all of this going? Well, if Mark Levin gets his way, it's going to go a very specific way that's going to be, in my opinion, disastrous. We're going to get into what Mark Levin is saying, as well as Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson. Before we do, just really quickly, check out thebestpoliticalshirts.com. We only do one ad read during like the 40-minute video. This is it. As of course, you could get shirts like the one I'm wearing right now. That says Epstein didn't blank himself. I was wearing the shirt yesterday at a friend's birthday party in one of these like horrible clubs in Miami. I'm like, I hate this place. And I'm like, okay, it's a friend's birthday. I got to get out of the house sometime and not just be here in front of the screen. And I was wearing the shirt. So many people just came up to me. Somebody went like, oh my God, what is there? Or the DJ, shout out to the man. The DJ literally like, shout out to the man. Everyone's coming up like, yeah, man. Yeah. And I'm like, I've been talking about it for a long time. 15 years, the shirt got me banned. The shirt got taken off as right now our crew looks like I think the shirts they're not sold out. They're available for members. So we're going to have specific shirts available for everybody for purchase. If you want to find our Epstein shirts, if you are a member of LukeUnfiltered.com, I think we're integrating it now, but there's supposed to be one shirt available now. There's going to be one shirt available that's going to be brand new. We're going to release for a limited time. It's already too late. I already told people, buy the shirts before it's too late. Now, the store is only going to be available for members. We're going to have one shirt. Where's that one shirt? We got to release that one shirt. My team, what are you doing? Don't just sell out the store. Release the one shirt. We have a really funny shirt about America that's going to be out very soon that you're going to be able to buy. You want to buy the Epstein stuff, you type in Epstein into the search bar, and then you'll be able to find it. I had this shirt. This is how great quality of the shirt is. I had this shirt for like 6 years, right? Look at the quality. I've been wearing it nonstop. This is my favorite shirt to wear. Why? Because you always get a big reaction. You always get a bunch of people who are like, yeah, this is awesome. So check out either LukeUnfiltered.com. I don't know if I think we're making the transition now. Check out the one shirt that we're going to have available for a limited time, and then we're going to make it just for members. Become a member, LukeUnfiltered.com. LukeUnfiltered.com is the place you go if you want this shirt, and I can't recommend it enough. You start wearing this out to the general public. Again, we have women's shirts, we have tank tops, we have short sleeves. I like the long sleeves personally. You got to hide away from the sun here sometimes too. And then you go into some of these AC places and it's like, man, it's freaking cold. So I like the long sleeves personally, but again, this shirt right here, everyone was coming up. I was like, oh my God. And it was great. Yeah. I'm usually an introvert. I sometimes come out. When I come out, I wear these shirts when I'm feeling a little bit more extroverted. So many people come up to you. Be prepared to talk to a lot of people. I can't recommend it enough. Lots of people are just in their phones all the time. Get out there into the real world, and you will be shocked and amazed how many people are awake, How many people know what's really going on? How many people will become your friends? Keeping good friends is so critically important. As, of course, Mark Levin isn't friends with anyone except the war industrial complex. As this is footage from, I believe, February 2nd of this year, about 18 days ago, as he was urging Trump to strike Iran.
They have death camps, torture prisons, murder people at will, and it's getting worse.
Is he talking about the Bush administration that he cheerleaded on?
And worse by the day. The fact that the media are absent for the most part. They have ignored the urgency of the moment.
No, you're on the media. You are the media. You're on Fox News beating the drums of war. So Trump. So are a lot of Israel first type of commentators that, of course, see this as a major victory, as a major mission for a radical sect of Israeli politicians that some argue don't even represent the Israeli people who don't want these wars overall. There's some people that do. But overall, there's a big anti-war contingent in Israel. I think the Israeli people understand, hey, we're in a small land area that's highly dense. Iran's very big, size of Germany and France put together, very mountainous. They have, it's not going to be an easy battle, especially with all the ballistic missiles that the Iranians have that they're not willing to get rid of.
The immediacy of the moment doesn't mean it's not happening, and it is happening. And unfortunately, people seem to be getting used to it. Not there, but outside of there. And I'm here to tell you, I'm never going to get used to this. Those people are suffering from a...
Okay, don't tell me you care about people who are protesting and suffering under regimes, because this is pointed, this is you manipulating, this is you specifically going out of your way to get a long-term neoconservative project for a new American century objective that you guys have been drooling over for an extremely long time. Again, Iran is 3 times the size of Iraq, 3 times the population of Iraq. You think this is going to be a cakewalk? What are you guys doing?
That we understand in the West, the mindset of the Islamists. It is a different mindset. It is a culture of death. Their intentions, and they repeat them openly, to take us out, to take out the West. That's why they exist, for their own power.
You mean the Sunni Wahhabis that were empowered after the Iraq War, that you guys loved and called for? As of course, look at the Iraq War. Iran got more powerful because of the Iraq War, and Islamist terrorists got all of the weapons, got all of the arms, conveniently right for America, to conveniently get rid of Bashar al-Assad, which was also another long-term neocon type of Israeli first type of policy that Ehud Barak, Peter Thiel, and Epstein were even talking about and helping engineer.
And to exercise that power and project it to destroy the West. They believe it's Allah's calling. They believe they're required to do it. Iran is weaker now than ever, and it will never.
He's reading a script here, obviously, here. As Kyle Seraphin says, drop Mark Levin into Iran so he can fight the war he dreams of fighting. As, of course, he's been going on attacking people who are against this. He's been going after Rowan and Massey. Rowan and Massey have been doing a lot of good work together. Now they're trying to push forward legislation to prevent glyphosate from being federally protected, which I don't think it should be. As he says, Rowan and Massey are reckless frauds who should be expelled from Congress. They're poisonous. Again, the rhetoric is just very vile here. As what is Mark Levin angry about? Rowan and Massey pushing for the DOJ to unredact Epstein files. He's like, how dare they? And of course, Mark Levin, it's like, stop talking about the Epstein stuff. Ben Shapiro made also similar arguments, as Ben Shapiro has been wanting a war with Iran since 2011. My goodness, golly gracious. And again, this is a long-term goal, as we're hearing Mike Huckabee even explain. That's been in the works for quite a long time. Ben Shapiro went out of his way to even describe Ron Paul as someone who allegedly hates all of the Jewish people, which he doesn't, clearly doesn't, because he doesn't want the U.S. government to attack Iran. which is crazy.
Here was a young Ben Shapiro live tweeting a Republican debate that year that included Ron Paul. We'll quote selected portions. Quote, Ron Paul is manifestly insane, wrote a young Ben Shapiro, who somehow got into Harvard. You wonder how. As in previous debates, he's now gripping the pen as he would the neck of a Jew.
Are you kidding me? Like, how ridiculous are you? Ron Paul was getting overwhelming support from U.S. service members, the U.S. military, more than a lot of more than all the other Republican nominees when he was running for the presidency of the United States. Why? Because he was promising to actually end these stupid foreign wars.
Imagine writing that about somebody, accusing someone of wanting to murder, in fact, strangle to death, quote, a Jew. That's a pretty serious thing to say about a person. In fact, that's slander. And on what basis did a young Ben Shapiro of Harvard, fresh off his deal with Facebook, which he got somehow, on what basis did he make such a claim? Well, on none.
Other than Ron Paul being principled on not wanting war. Now, Ben Shapiro really showed exactly who he is, as of course he even went as far as to attacking Trump for warning Netanyahu to hold off on strikes against Iran. If you remember, Donald Trump was like, okay, you've done enough bombing. Please stop. No more bombing. No, not one bomb. Bibi's like, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to send in one more bomb. Why? Why would you disrespect the president of the United States like that?
So a kind of shocking story from Axios yesterday emerged that suggested that President Trump had cautioned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a phone call last week not to take any action that could jeopardize negotiations between the United States and Iran on a new nuclear deal. Okay, so first of all, I have a question. Israel is not involved in those negotiations. So why should Israel hold off? Real question. Israel is the country most under threat from Iran, not the United States.
Okay, then why is it our business? Why are we doing this? Of course, there's these kind of fanatical, insane, theoretical debates and discussions that these people put forward that are absolutely just wild.
If you reject Judaism and you reject Christianity and you reject the link of the two, you reject the Bible. If you reject Judaism and Christianity and the brotherhood and the sisterhood of the two, not only are you rejecting our founding, you're rejecting our country.
Yeah, because biblical prophecies talk about bombing people. Like, what are you talking about? All of this is happening as there was a big controversy with Tucker Carlson flying to Israel recently and claiming that he was detained in Israel after interviewing the U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee. Now, the two got at it on Twitter, and Mike Huckabee says, I'll talk to you. And Tucker says, okay, I'll come to you. He did. There allegedly was a detainment. Tucker claimed he was dragged into an interrogation room after this very explosive type of interview. Mike Huckabee, who, by the way, just announced that Israel will not spend a penny rebuilding Gaza and that Americans need to give reparations to Israelis for what happened in Gaza. As Gaza is the place that's bombed and destroyed very significantly, with America paying for a lot of the military hardware for it to be bombed and destroyed. And now America and all these other countries are going to be rebuilding it. And Israel, and Mike Huckabee's like, no, Israel's not going to rebuild it. As many people believe that it's going to be Israeli territory, right? Which is just crazy. Mike Cernovich came out, says, did no one tell Mike Huckabee that he's the United States ambassador to Israel, not the Israeli ambassador to America? Yeah, here's what Ryan Mate had to say about this.
So I'm probably sure by now that you guys heard that Tucker was detained over in Israel after he performed an interview with Ambassador Mike Huckabee. Well, just in case you missed it, Mike Huckabee just announced that Israel should not have to pay for any of the reconstruction in Gaza. The American taxpayers, you owe Israel reparations.
Should Israel?
Yeah, this is just crazy. And he said it in his own words. Now comes this very interesting interview. Now, there's been a lot of criticism of Mike Huckabee because there was an American trader, Jonathan Pollard, that was convicted of spying on America, selling American secrets to foreign countries, stealing them illegally, held in the most highest regard of betraying America's national security interests. He was pardoned. Right? A lot of people believe that there was pressure on Bill Clinton to pardon him, and because he didn't, that's when they did the whole Monica thing. That's a theory, conspiracy out there. That kind of, when you kind of think about it, it's like, maybe, who knows, if that's the actual case here. But Mike Huckabee, a couple months ago, invited an American trader, Jonathan Pollard, to the U.S. Embassy, where there are more American secrets held there by the State Department, the CIA. And then he received a lot of flack saying, why are you allowing a convicted traitor who spied on against America and sold our secrets internationally? There's a lot of people who believe that the secrets made its way to Russia, to China, in order to have better kind of leverage deals for the benefit of Israel. There are multiple instances where Israel got caught stealing American data, selling it to foreign countries and our adversaries. That's a big deal, right? And it's a spy on spy world where spies, even when they're aligned together, steal each other's data and information. America, very famously spied on Merkel. America and their embassies literally had like spying apparatuses pointed right at the Reichstag in Berlin. As Tucker Carlson asked Mike Huckabee, why did you meet with an American traitor?
Jonathan Pollard did something that was terribly wrong. He sold secrets. He shouldn't have done it. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison and spent 30, actually was, I think he was sentenced to maybe more than 30 years, but he spent 30 years in prison. Most people convicted of something similar, which was one count, I believe, would have spent 2 to 4, but he spent 30. I don't have a problem with him spending 30 because I think what he did was despicable. I'm not defending anything about what he did.
Why are you inviting him to the place with more American secrets that he previously stole before?
But even people like the former director of the CIA, a number of other senators on the Senate Foreign Relations of the Senate Intel Committee said that he should be allowed to leave and move to Israel if he wanted to. So it, to me, was not as big a deal that I had this basically courtesy meeting. He wanted to thank me for being nice to him when his wife died. That's pretty much the story.
You advocated for his release.
You could do that, not in the U.S. Embassy.
When you ran for, I remember it, in 2011, long before he had served 30 years. And I agree with you that there are a lot of people languishing in prison, in our country and in this country, and many countries, for longer periods than they deserve. And I think it's a Christian impulse to want to.
Yeah, just for clarification, Jonathan Pollard was not pardoned. He was released on parole 2015. He did serve 30 years. His parole ended in 2020. He moved back to Israel. He was welcomed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as soon as he arrived there. However, Avim Shela, his handler, was granted a full pardon by Donald Trump on January 20th, 2021, during Trump's final hours in office.
See them free. But this was the greatest traitor in modern American history who sold our battle plans against the Soviet Union, our main enemy in the Cold War, to the Israeli government, which, according to our Reagan CIA director, Bill Casey, then gave them to the Soviet Union. So this was the most profound betrayal of the United States in my lifetime. Why advocate for that guy's release before he serves his full sentence?
Yeah, you would think that Bibi would kind of distance himself from that, especially with the temperature in the room and people questioning this kind of U.S.-Israeli relationship, right? More than ever. Charlie Kirk spoke out against this type of weird, bewildering relationship. And you would think, hey, Prime Minister, this is not the time to welcome this guy in and welcome him in like a hero.
If that were the case in 2011, it would have been because I had a number of friends that suggested that he had more than served time and he didn't want to live in the U.S. anymore. He wanted to live in Israel. And but my association with him, again, I had never met him until I met him in Jerusalem at a hotel. That was the first time I had ever encountered him.
I'm friends with a million bad people, or I've talked to a million bad
I'm
people.
sitting here with you. I mean, come on.
I mean, she's the same with tax collectors. So trust me, do not judge people who are friends or know or enjoy the company of immoral people, because it's not an endorsement of their immoral behavior. Pollard is different. I think once you become U.S. ambassador, the representative of the president of the United States in the United States of America in a foreign country, and then you invite not only the most damaging betrayer in our lifetimes, but also a guy who continues to advocate for betrayal. So he gave an interview, as I know you know, in 2021 to Israeli media, in which he said, I would encourage Jewish Americans with security clearances to spy for Mossad against their own country, the United States, because, and I'm pretty much quoting him, all Jews should have dual loyalty. That's not repentance. That's not someone who feels bad about what he did. That's someone who's encouraging American Jews to betray their country. That's pretty heavy, don't you think?
Oh, I do. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think, let's remember, it was President Trump who probably facilitated his departure. And I'm certainly supportive of President Trump. I think you are. And
Pollard's not. He called him a madman after your meeting.
That's why I say Pollard is not, for me, the real issue. It was the fact that he did something that was despicable. I'm not denying that. Of course he did. And he paid dearly for it, 30 years in prison, and he should have. That's what he should have done. There's no question about that.
But why meet with him in the U.S. Embassy? Your colleagues said they were shocked. They said...
Who were the colleagues that said they were shocked?
Quoted on background in the New York Times. I think the meeting was in August. This could all be fake. That's why I'm asking you.
Well, the same New York Times said it was a secret meeting. And I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a secret meeting in the U.S. Embassy.
Do you see why the U.S. ambassador hosting a convicted betrayer of his own country who's encouraging Americans to continue to betray their country would seem shocking?
Great line of questioning. You got to give it to Tucker. Tucker is like a troublemaker deep down, and I respect that very heavily.
Well, I would say that it wasn't that you make it sound like I'm hosting a meeting. I simply met with him. I meet with people all the time.
Some can just walk in without a...
No, they have to have an appointment. Of course they do.
Oh, so it is hosting him then, I think.
Well, I don't know if it was hosting, but it was certainly...
He's hosting.
He was able to come to the U.S. Embassy to have a meeting at his request. I did. And
the meeting is just to thank Huckabee for the support about his wife? That doesn't add up. That doesn't make sense.
Frankly,
something else is going on here.
Regret it.
I think that's something that should be regretted. Now, there's also another fascinating conversation about the Epstein files. It was also really interesting to see Mike Huckabee tell Tucker Carlson that, quote, Israel has a biblical right to take over all of the Middle East. And he said, quote, it would be fine if they took it all. As a lot of people are talking about the kind of greater Israel plan, as of course, Tucker has been involved in a lot of controversy. Mark Levin is calling him Tucker Smollett, as there's a small clip. It's not the full clip, but there's a small clip that shows Tucker at the airport as Mark Levin says, anyone who continues promoting this ass or his buddy is a buffoon. As people are saying, look, the Israeli airport authorities say he's lying. The security footage, and we're seeing a small portion of that security footage. People are saying he was totally made up, totally fraud. New York Post, Tucker Carlson seen posing for photo with Israeli airport staff in viral video of self-claimed detention. Is that exactly what happened here? Well, the truth is always stranger than fiction, and we should always be careful when it comes to propaganda and disinformation. As Tucker Carlson came out and talked about this being one of the weirdest experiences of his life.
Show up on Wednesday, fly in from Europe, again at great expense, and show up at the diplomatic terminal at Ben Gurion Airport where this interview is going to take place, which is bizarre in itself. A filthy building. The windows are so dirty in the terminal you can't see out them barely. There's like exposed drywall. The whole thing is depressing and grim. There's litter outside. Like, what is this? This is the diplomatic terminal in Israel. I thought that was very strange. Having been in a lot of diplomatic terminals, I've never seen a rattier one. We go in, and Huckabee's there. And, of course, he's totally friendly, as he always is. Very, very friendly guy and cheerful. And we sort of chat. And the whole place is filled with these some guys in T-shirts, thuggish looking guys in T-shirts who are some kind of security. So we do the interview. You're about to watch it. It's very long, at 2.5 hours-ish, and I try my hardest to be friendly. I think I kind of succeeded. You can judge for yourself. But I really got the sense, and again, you can decide as you watch it, that Huckabee was not able to answer any of the questions, but also not really in charge. You really got the feeling of a guy sort of trying his best to repeat the talking points. But
Yeah, we kind of saw that with Pollard kind of answer. He didn't really answer. It's like, okay, you're just meeting there for condolences. Why?
But very constrained, like unable to say certain things, not because those things might harm the interests of the U.S. government. He was happy to attack, for example, the U.S. military and say they're more brutal than the Israeli military. Okay. But unwilling to say certain things because they might reflect poorly on the Israeli government. And you sort of thinking about this for a second, you're like, wait, you're the U.S. ambassador. You're our representative to a foreign country. Why is your red line criticism of that country? Shouldn't you be representing us? And it was very obvious he was representing the Israelis. Obvious. And again, you can judge for yourself. But anyway, so we do this interview. It was cordial. And at the end, we're set to fly out. We have a time. We have to get out. And the plane is sitting right outside. And we're ready to go. And for some reason, the Israelis still have our passports. There are 5 of us there. And 4 of us are flying out on this plane. One's flying out commercial with our gear. So my business partner and I, sort of standing there, we've never left the airport, never went anywhere. But our 2 producers have spent the night
Smart decision, as a lot of people say.
The night before in Tel Aviv. And they're called into rooms and given the 3rd degree. Now, keep in mind, they're about to get on a plane and leave. In fact, we're late. We have to get out of there. We have a slot to get out. And security, whoever this is, won't let them go. So I don't really know what's going on at this point. I'm like, where are our guys? We got to get out of here. So one of them comes out and he says, that was the weirdest experience in my life. They asked me questions about the interview. Who did you speak to? Keep in mind, this was like 8 feet from where we did the interview. Well, the U.S. ambassador, Mike Huckabee, what did you talk about? Why did you ask those questions? Was it a hostile interview? And of course, everything in the diplomatic terminal is taped. Everything in Israel is taped. It's a police state. It's a surveillance state, obviously. You go to Israel, they put software on your phone. Everybody knows this. Okay,
Yeah, it's pretty clear. I talked about my travel there, and I did that with the last video that I did. I believe that was on the main channel.
Constantly spying on you more than probably any other country. And so they know the answers to these questions. But they're asking my producer, like, where do you work? How many people work there? Do you go to the office? Where is the office? What are their names? They're doing like an intel op and humiliation exercise on my producer. This isn't security. We're leaving right now. And they're holding his passport. The interrogator is holding the passport in his hand as he's asking these questions. So he's telling me this, and I said, this is the most outrageous thing I've ever heard. Huckabee's gone by this point. You're an American citizen who's just had a conversation with the U.S. ambassador, and some thug is demanding details of that conversation? I hope you didn't answer. And he's like, no, I didn't. I don't know what to say. Meanwhile, our last guy, the youngest man who was traveling with us, our last producer, is still in a room being questioned. So I pull over one of the guys and said, we got to get out of here. So I don't know what this is about. It's outrageous. And, there's nothing I can do about this point, but we got to go.
Yeah, it's bizarre, right? It's like, okay, guys, like, we didn't even, like, can we get to the bottom of what's going on here?
And this woman comes up to me and says, look, let's just go. We're going to bring you to the plane and he'll come later. I said, no, it's my producer. He's being interrogated, asked totally over the top, fully inappropriate questions that have nothing to do with security at all. Pull up your website, show us your text exchanges with other people on your staff. What are your politics like? And again, what did you say to the U.S. ambassador and what did he say back to you? Those are not relevant questions if you're trying to keep your country secure. Those are intel questions. And they're over the top. And I said, I want this guy out now. Let's go. We got to go. And they said, no, just leave him here. we'll bring him to the plane later. Twice they told me that. Just leave your guy behind. No, I don't think so. So I was enraged by this. Get on the plane. We get a text from a reporter who somehow knew that this had happened. I have no idea how. I had no interest in publicizing it, actually. There was, a long trail that showed that the U.S. Embassy had been coordinating against us in a public relations battle before we even got there. They were leaking that we demanded to do it at the airport because we were afraid to go into Israel. We're cowards. Okay, we're cowards.
It's extremely brave for Tucker to do this. And again, the media was leaking this stuff, and it's like, oh, yeah, Tucker. And then Mark Levin's like, oh, yeah, Tucker's just trying to make himself like a small. No, I don't think he is.
Right. And so I just said to the reporter by text, they pulled my guys into a room, interrogating them. This is outrageous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The interesting thing is I never heard from Huckabee or anybody to this moment from the U.S. Embassy about what security did to my producers. They didn't ask us. And instead, Huckabee went out and called me a liar. So it raises, again, the question, who exactly is Huckabee working for?
I think that's a legitimate question, right? As again, we have to understand here, there's a lot of pushback against Tucker because Tucker's not afraid to say a lot of the public stuff out loud, right? And that's why we like Tucker. That's why Tucker is as popular as he is. He's one of the most influential, most popular voices in the world. He was the #1 news anchor in the world until Fox News cut him off. Fox News owners were trying to get him to run against Donald Trump, which I absolutely believe was going to happen. We have former Israeli prime ministers literally attacking Donald Trump, attacking Tucker Carlson. Tucker has always talked about how Christians are treated in Israel, which also was a big controversial issue as well here. You see Mark Levin addressing that recently as well. Now, we're still in the midst of one of the biggest geopolitical decisions that Donald Trump has to make of his entire career. The latest we're getting is that nothing definitive is coming out of these meetings. The Iranians are saying the demands are just kind of egregious here. Trump says that he's still seeking an Iranian anti-nuclear deal. After the Netanyahu meeting, Netanyahu was not available there, not at the Board of Peace meeting, which a lot of people saw as very telling here. The Iranians are saying that Israel's trying to sabotage these negotiations. Israel's coming out and saying these negotiations are futile. They're not worth having. That the Iranians will lie regardless of whatever deal is allegedly made here. Now, Trump is still coming out and he's like, I think we're making a good deal here. But the Israelis are like, no deal. We want regime change. We want regime change now. Now, Trump came out and gave a 15-day window. He gave a smaller window before that. And he's talking about Iran dismantling their nuclear program. It's not about their nuclear program. It's about their ballistic missiles. It's about any kind of deterrence defense that they have here. As of course, I'm reminded by the words of Charlie Kirk here that Jack Posobiec, a friend of his, is sharing today.
Western forced central planning regime change, as if we are just going to take out the Ayatollah. Oh, really? What comes next? What comes after regime change? Might be, oh, well, we need a small number of U.S. troops to support the new regime. We have seen this play before. Regime change, you have no idea how this is going to work out. You have no idea. Western forced central planning regime change.
Yeah, we don't. As Glenn Greenwald came out and says, one of the loudest and most vehement voices of U.S. war with Iran was Charlie Kirk. He denounced it from the time he heard neocons were pushing Trump to do it in March 2025. Trump was so worried by Kirk's opposition that he called Kirk and promised it'd be only a one-time, one-night bombing, only aimed at Iran's 3 nuke sites, so Kirk relented. But he continued to loudly express the view that a wider U.S. war with Iran, let alone one with regime change as the goal, was sick, dangerous, and crazy. He said it up until he was killed. And he's sadly one of the voices that I think is missed most here. Now, there's also another crazy article from Forbes. This one shared by Joe Rogan, 2014, about how Iran says tall white space aliens controls America. I'm going to do a separate video about that. Joe Rogan talked about that. I'm going to do a whole separate video about this, as I think this is an issue that might come full circle now with Trump's announcement about disclosing aliens. Is it aliens that are guiding and pushing Trump to do regime change in Iran? Is it the Israelis threatening to nuke Iran that Trump is trying to prevent from happening? Is it just a co-opted government that is done by the special donor class that is just getting everything that they want? 1, 2, or 3. Which one do you think is possible? Let me know down in the comment section below. We're going to have a shirt. I just talked to my team as I was playing one of the clips. One of the shirts is going to be up. It's going to be up for a limited time for the general public. If you're a member, get the shirt. Become a member. It's like $8 a month. And that's one of the things that we will give you. This shirt right here that says America will be available just for everybody. So stay tuned for that and a lot more, all here exclusively. YouTube.com/Luke Rudowski 76. I love you.